to call this voodoo science.
That all started to disappear. It disappeared.
Welcome to Holistic Health Space Podcast. I'm your host, Scarlett. Today's special guest is Vivek Patela. He has a new book that just came out. I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, your book, and the journey that you as a family went through.
So thank you so much, Scarlett, for having me here. It's really a pleasure to be in your podcast. I'm Vivek, and I think Ramaswamy likes to call it Vivek, which is the correct pronunciation, but it's nice to say Vivek. That's how I like it. But in any case, I'm a dad, and I'm going to be talking about my daughter. We can go and straight into the book. Just released, Healing Her Light. So my new book chronicles my daughter Maya's 32 years of darkness, suffering from vaccine and prescription drug injuries. And in recent developments, she's showing remarkable progress, which is really amazing. It's a spark of light that we're seeing from her. Part 1 of the book unveils a formula. I call it magic because it can be repeated and it can work for others who have illnesses and medical injuries. And this formula can work for faster recovery and deep healing using natural, safe, and highly effective therapeutics and treatment. And in part 2, I talk about the demands we need to place on transparency to uncover the harms caused by conventional medicine. And it calls for justice and accountability to reform the laws to protect the injured. It explains the peer-reviewed evidence-based science behind the treatment options we've chosen. And I share this guide for acute conditions in people and as well as pets that we can treat with natural remedies. I share in my book Maya's horrific health journey into the abyss. 32 years of her life has been lost from childhood vaccines and psychiatric meds that were perpetually administered from her teenage years.
Yeah, the story is very heart-wrenching. Like, unfortunately, Maya is not the only one who suffered, at the hands of conventional medicine. Walk us through like what she took as a child, and then what the reactions that she had, and then subsequently what kind of treatments that she went through.
She had a normal birth in general, I would say. This is back in 1992. Her mother had a normal pregnancy, no complications, no medicines, nothing used. And Maya was 37 weeks when she was delivered on December 26th, 1992, the day after Christmas. But that day of birth, my wife thought she's in labor, went to the hospital, and her labor contractions stopped. So things were just going silent. And since she was still 2 weeks ahead of the due date, she was planning to come back home. But the hospital suggested to get her induced so that she can have the baby that day. And because it's the holidays coming, I think they wanted to accelerate before the stuff gets short. So she was injected Pitocin, which is just maybe not too harmful. I'm not so sure, but Pitocin helped to induce her contractions, and she delivered. But when Maya came out to the world, she was a very quiet child, not too much making much noise. It was very different from her elder daughter. And she remained very quiet and sleeping a lot, slow in some regards. And we were thinking, well, maybe she's a bit early here. But, she did okay generally. And in 14 months' time, that's when the first vaccine started. So it's not like younger generation parents where the vaccines are administered much faster. I think the day of the
At
birth,
birth. Yeah.
that is very sad to see. But she was first administered in her 14th month,
Hmm.
and by 1.5 years old, she was given 5 shots already.
Hmm.
And by 5 years old, she was given 15 shots. And if we, we have to think about what happened after the shots, but in reflection, we can see that things started to go south for her. Slower development, slower delays in language, verbal speech, eye contact was missing, social interaction was very poor. All of these showed up as time passed, and things were just delayed, going slower and slower when other kids are progressing faster. We noticed there's something not right here. But we didn't know much. We didn't know what autism was. We didn't even have any suspicion of some disease that
Yeah.
she's carrying.
Hmm.
She did walk early. She walked at 11 months. So
That,
that
that was
is,
before
a
the
good
vaccine
sign. She
started.
was pretty mobile and active.
She walked at 11 months, so that was before the vaccine started.
Exactly. That's true. And things really went south. Very bad time, difficult time she had in preschool and kindergarten. She was always supported, extra care provided because of just slow development. There were signs of autism from that time. It was very clear. And
From what age?
while we had a psychological assessment done only many years later, we had the history. And those days, there were the Handycam, the Sony Handycams. I don't know if you know these, but we're old generation guys. We didn't have phones, but we had these Handycam cameras, and the camera recordings were all there. So we were reviewing it with the psychologist, and it was very clear she was autistic. And she also had Tourette's syndrome, which is twitching of the face like tics. It's a sign of nervousness, and it can also come from vaccine injury. And then there is this delayed language development, speech and learning difficulties. So it was obvious. These were the two main problems she was having. Um, but in her teenage years, when she first got puberty, actually at the age of 12, not even a teen, um, she started to show some signs of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, having some fears on doing certain things or not seeing certain things done in a certain way. And she would resist that to the degree she needs to fight back, not violently, but in terms of resisting. And these were things like feeling things like having turtleneck around a turtleneck sweater around her neck. That was really annoying her. To the kind of dresses she wears, it has to be cotton because she doesn't like the way it feels. Um, so there was many things going wrong, and it started to get worse. And of course, with school, there's peer pressure along the way that happens. So the nervousness turns to anxiety, and then with hormonal challenges as she gains into becoming, with puberty and becoming a woman, she started to have problems with her menstrual cycles, and she wasn't having her menses for the months that's due. And we started to wonder what was going on. And this was by the time she was 16. She had an evaluation with the gynecologist that did a ultrasound scan and found that she has PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome.
Yeah.
Essentially, she has cysts around her ovaries, so she cannot induce periods. Gynecologists and the medical institution will obviously try to find an intervention, and they have prescribed Provera, which is a progesterone and estrogen balancer. It's a chemically engineered medicine. And we didn't know better. We wanted to help her, so we did have her take it. This is the first time she actually took medicine, at the age of 16. Before that, no medicines. We avoid antibiotics. We avoid many things, because we know the harm. And it was not too long. She just took it for 2 or 3 months. And then her nervousness and anxiety actually went up to the degree that her OCD went to, highest level. She was doing many different rituals, things that she just couldn't tolerate um, not repeating. So putting apostrophe s's after each word, putting dots around each letter, or fixated about doing something on the computer and she can't get out of doing it. That all was starting to show up. And we had to bring her to a neurologist to see what is going wrong here, because that is really strange to see things like that happen in class. Actually, the teacher started to come to us to tell us too that they were alarmed by what they're seeing. And so there was no issue with her brain. The MRI scan turned out normal, but the neurologist then diagnosed this as severe OCD. And that's when, this was back in November of 2009. So about 5 months after she started Provera, she was prescribed SSRI, which is the worst psychiatric meds to ever take. I would tell anyone never to ever do that stupid stuff. Mm-hmm. That is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, basically that tries to help send the signals between the nerve cells in your brain from one nerve cell to the other without having it go back to the nerve cell. But that's all, the theory or whatever. It doesn't work at all, and it harms the person. It actually rewires the brain. It makes the person actually go nuts. Mm-hmm. And there's so many bad things that happen with the SSRI. But that's not just it. Anyway, she started with an SSRI called Lexapro. And from the neurologist, we went to a psychiatrist. We had to go to have her regularly checked with a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist is a brilliant Stanford associate professor and graduate from the medical school there. And she was so, gung-ho about, this is the right type of medication to prescribe, and that she should continue the process. And every month we'd see her and she gives this $350 bill, and things like that was going on all the time. But there's also evidence now, and there's the side effects that even the FDA couldn't resist posting, and the NIH, that people under 25 years old can have suicidal symptoms from this. So Maya was taking this, and the main thing it does is it makes her lethargic, really slow paced and dull. She turned into a zombie, basically. Mm-hmm. And she was always sleepy, and she started to gain weight. And these psychiatric meds, the worst thing they do is just have people gain weight. And they say that's a side effect, nothing to worry about, But in any case, she didn't do as well. She still had severe OCD. What they say is, with the OCD, you have to take the psychiatric meds and you have to do therapy. So the both combined is what makes it work. But it turns out the medicine never really brought down her OCD, anxiety, and fears. And the therapy, which is cognitive behavioral therapy with exposure response prevention, CBT-ERP, in a very intensive, conducted way, is very effective. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't necessarily eliminate the OCD. It's not a cure. Mm-hmm. It is, you learn the skills to know how to manage your life with having OCD. Uh-huh. And you can pretty much do the skills if your intensity level is below an 8 out of 10. If your intensity level, I would say below a 7 or 6 out of 10. Mm-hmm. Because it's really hard for an individual with OCD to be able to regulate their mind and manage their emotions and fears at higher intensity levels. So the intensive therapy helped, but the medicines just made her a zombie and gain weight. And then the problem was the Lexapro with the SSRI did have suicidal thoughts into her. That created those suicidal thoughts. Mm-hmm. That when she went to a college living experience where she got some support, it's for the people with disabilities. she started to live on her own in an apartment, but she couldn't handle a lot of the chaos in her life.
Mm-hmm.
That she started to self harm. Try to take a razor or knife to try to cut her hand and stuff like that.
God.
And
Terrible.
once the administration of this college living experience saw that, they said, stop, no more. She cannot
Right.
come to this experience. We can't take that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But in the few months of that college living experience, and this is back in 2011, her psychiatrist said, "Oh, okay, now that Lexapro doesn't seem like addresses this issue, let's give you
No.
this antipsychotic meds called
Uh-huh.
Abilify."
Yeah.
And man, that's even worse.
Uh-huh.
Worse. So what happened was with Abilify and Lexapro, and she had to take two of them. She started to get all kinds of new symptoms show up. Nothing that she ever had in her life. Things like hallucinations, rage, anger, outbursts,
Mm-hmm.
911 calls we did many, many times over.
Oh God.
Um, and she had vertigo, which is the worst.
Yeah.
In addition to migraines, she had spasms. The migraines were really bad because you know how that goes. When with people who can't be in the bright light or can't find everything really noisy, they just have to go shut down themselves and hide in a room. All these crazy things were showing up for her, and we were seeing her struggle, and that we were saying, God, this is going to be worse for her onwards. And this went on till 2020, until we tried once to taper off and get out of these medicines, but it's the most difficult. To get out of SSRI and antipsychotic drugs is the most difficult for people. We learned it really the hard way. We learned it so much the hard way,
Yeah.
and I would advise anyone to don't follow the path that Maya had went through.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want any child to go through the kinds of things that Maya went through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm writing the book, because we have the formula. Well, it's not a cut and dry formula, but it is the methodology that I'm introducing that I think will work really well for
Mm-hmm.
many people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a lot of media bashing and critiques against the treatments and therapeutics that I'm talking about, because it's not necessarily uncommon. It's out there,
Mm-hmm.
but you would never find anything positive if you Google it or you do anything that
Yeah.
people normally will do to search for the answers.
Yeah.
We moved from California to Hawaii in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
the COVID times.
Yeah.
Good time to move. We wanted to have some peace as well, away from all this nonsense that's going on. And we live up in up in the hills here. It's really nice and pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to give her a slower paced lifestyle too. And that's
Mm-hmm.
also one of the reasons why we left California. She would live with us. That's what we thought. And she's 32 now. And we wanted to give her a better life as best we can. But we haven't seen the recovery at 2020. 2020 was still pretty bad for her, and she was having problems. But what she was determined at that point is saying, no more medicines. Dad, I don't want to take any more of this medicine.
Mm-hmm.
While we struggled and we suffered and we couldn't help her withdraw back in 2016 or so when she tried, it didn't work out and she had to go back to the medications. This time she was more determined again, and we were saying, I'm going to keep searching for ways she can be supported through the detox process. And this is where I went back to working with her homeopath. And I want to give that story of the light, all the turnaround that we had seen in her, and how it all started. Because it didn't start in 2020. We started to work on natural treatments for her back from 2013.
Okay.
And I really want to talk to you about that.
What was her official diagnosis, and when was the diagnosis made?
So a psychological assessment was only done for her when she was 19 in Yeah, when she was 19 years old. And uh, that time she was diagnosed with autism, with borderline intellectual ability. And she was diagnosed with anxiety disorder,
Mm-hmm.
as well as severe OCD
Mm-hmm.
and developmental delays. But they looked at all these recordings and they looked at the history of the record, that we had, all the school assessments, everything was reviewed to be very clear that she was autistic. And that then we had the San Andreas Regional Center, which is part of the Department of Health Services, assess her and confirm she has autism. And
Mm-hmm.
for that, she has been granted um, a disability status with Social Security income and Medicaid services.
Mm-hmm.
So for her health services and her, because she's not able to work, she can't get things done, at work or even in college, she couldn't. She is given support, and the support provides us different support services through that program, and
Mm-hmm.
that is with people who have been classified as disabled,
Mm-hmm.
at the younger age. Not physical disabilities, but autism is a disability.
Mm-hmm.
Severe OCD is not considered a disability that would provide state services.
I see.
And I would say OCD is more debilitating in condition than autism in many regards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, shall we talk about the turnaround?
yes.
2013, we were very successful with meeting a board certified, accredited homeopath. Her name is Deborah Olenev. She lives in Mountain View, California, and it was in our vicinity. So we were in the Bay Area, and it was easy for us to reach her.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across her through another book that inspired me. So like this book will hopefully inspire others. I was inspired by another author, and she's very famous in this natural healing space. Her name is Dr. Amy Lansky,
Mm-hmm.
and she had written a book about her son who was completely cured, not just healed, but cured
Mm-hmm.
with homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
And her son, Max, was autistic, diagnosed with autism. He's completely free from that at an early age, and he lived his college years and now working in the industry. And I think it's in animation still in LA area,
Mm-hmm.
doing phenomenally well.
Mm-hmm.
And the book she wrote is called The Impossible Cure, The Promise of Homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
And she explains the what homeopathy is and how it helped her son Max cure.
Mm-hmm.
And Amy Lansky's homeopath is Deborah Olenev as well. So I reached out to her when I read a book, and I was very inspired. And she quickly responded that she's also in the Bay Area at that time. And she introduced me to a couple of homeopaths that are really good. I went to reach them, and we landed with Deborah, and we've been with her for now 12 years. And she's our family homeopath. It's like our family doctor. I don't visit any doctor. Neither does Maya right now.
So you're still
We
with
just
Deborah.
get
Okay.
yes. So let me explain what is going on. So
Okay.
2013, she had PCOS. Maya was diagnosed with PCOS
Yeah.
and autism. I'm sorry, OCD. And Deborah was focused on helping her on her PCOS. The first, and I should explain what homeopathy is, but let me put that aside for now. But the first remedy, which is a natural remedy, homeopathy is all about natural remedies. You take plant, mineral, or animal substances,
Mm-hmm.
and you dilute them. You take a particle of that and dilute them infinite amounts. You keep diluting them to increase its potency. You
Oh,
dilute them
so
in
the more
water and you add some
dilute, the
alcohol,
more
maybe.
potent it is. I'm
Sorry?
sorry. I'm sorry. I just try to understand. I know they do the
Yes.
dilution, but you're saying the more dilute,
Yes.
the more potent it is.
Yes.
Okay, not
Yes.
the other
The
way
more
around.
diluted, the more potent it is. It's not
Okay.
the other way around. The memory of the particle is retained in the water mixture, in the solution. And there's a process to go. I can actually make it at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's how easy and cheap it is to
Yeah.
create this. This science is so cheap that the owners of Western medicine, Rockefeller and Carnegie Foundations, bastardized it back into 1910 when homeopathy was becoming very popular in America. In
Mm-hmm.
the early 1900s, homeopathy was practiced in 100 hospitals, 20 medical schools, and thousands of homeopaths
Mm-hmm.
trained with the ability to administer remedies that can help all kinds of infections, epidemics, and chronic illnesses. It can work for anything. It's phenomenal,
Mm-hmm.
but it's too cheap.
Yeah, there's
You know,
no
it's
profit.
too cheap, and Rockefeller doesn't find it good business.
Yeah.
So they had the American Medical Association, which pretty much they owned, and the small pharma group, which was still at its infancy back in 1910, prepare the Flexner Report, 1910 Flexner Report, that killed homeopathy and many alternative, it shouldn't be even called alternative, but
Exactly.
other medical practices
Just
to help them thrive their money
mm-hmm.
in making money out of Western medicine. And you know, it's so ironic because with Western medicine, they teach these medical school students about the Hippocrates Oath. You know, it's the ethics of Western medicine. First, do no harm. Well, that's a complete hypocrisy. The first thing they do, the first thing they do with the vaccines is harm the individual.
Yeah.
And then they make the person suffer to need other horrific medicines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and keep the person sick for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And they do it
That's
not
how,
just with
yeah.
medicines and medicine, they do it with food. And this is
Food,
why
agriculture,
Bobby Kennedy is the
everything.
right person in charge.
They marginalize, they demonize all of the traditional, medical practices around the world. There's so many things that could work for various conditions, but they just demonize everything and tell you to focus on this very, very narrow-minded, short-sighted solution that they offer, which is, it's all profit making.
It's just business. It's not about public health. So, you know, it's not like there's no solution. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like there's no um, method to heal and cure. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Amy Lansky has seen it, and she was phenomenal for having her book published. She has a third book now. Homeopathy is in mainstream medicine in India, Brazil, Germany, and France, and many other places. Homeopathy is in mainstream. It's in public health. It's covered by insurance, and it is a medical science that has started with in Germany by a physician named Samuel Hahnemann. Samuel Hahnemann in 1796 has discovered and introduced homeopathy as the principle of like cures like. That's the simple answer to health. You have to find the right remedy that will match your symptom profile. Your symptom profile is your holistic symptom profile. Your mental sphere, emotional sphere, spiritual sphere, physical sphere, all aspects of you, including your genetics and your past, gets put into a symptom profile. And then there is an expert system, so with software. Well, homeopaths have knowledge. They have the ability to know what this symptom profile best matches to a remedy. But there are hundreds of thousands of remedies. And from there, you have to pick that one that just matches exactly this person's symptom profile. So it's a very difficult process.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have good training. It's the training beyond med school training. These people are really, really smart people, and they're board certified people that can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah is seasoned. She's 30 years practicing, but 40 years or more since she started to study about this. So she has a lot of knowledge. She's, semi-retired in many regards, and she's also helping her daughter learn the process. Her daughter is a homeopath as well, but she has helped Maya with the first remedy, and Maya's PCOS disappeared in one remedy. Disappeared. So no more cysts. In fact, after taking it in 3 months, we went back to the gynecologist. She did the scan again, ultrasound, and found no cysts, and was just mind boggled.
Yeah.
She was so surprised, and
Baffled,
she
right?
asked, "Did the Provera work?" Did the Provera? And my daughter said, "No, she took it only 3 times, and that was it."
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I'm sorry, 6 months later, she went back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And Provera, she actually stopped using it because she didn't like the reactions she was
Yes.
getting from it.
Yeah, of course.
So the doctors have no clue. You tell them, yeah, we took a remedy, homeopathy, oh, okay, and then go. It's
Yeah,
like,
they have no
phew,
idea.
they have no idea, whatever. I mean, talk about they're not even trained on nutrition. They don't even know what remedies and natural treatments can do. They don't understand or think much about supplements and all these vitamins and minerals and other things to take. It's ridiculous. These people are so ignorant. So that inspired us, and I went for my own treatment because I was struggling too with pressure I was getting from the kind of struggles my daughter was going through. And I had emotional challenges at work, even though I was doing, and I was taking a big responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with Deborah, and she prescribed me a remedy, and it just did wonders for me. It turned me around. My emotional side, my pressure that I was having was all released. It's like I like to say, you become buoyant. You're like floating above water. It's not like when you're drowning and really suffering. You're above water and you feel it. You're there, and everything works really well for you. That's what a remedy can do if it's the right match.
Mm-hmm.
And that same remedy, the same one I need to just take occasionally when I see that, oh, it's getting a little weakened now. And that one remedy can work for multiple years, 3 years even, without taking it again.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And we can talk about what homeopathy is, but let's talk about Maya here. So she taken the remedy that helped her with her PCOS, but she wasn't breaking through on the OCD side. It was still not working. That remedy wasn't working for this. So essentially, the issue with PCOS was mainly a acute symptom to
Mm-hmm.
fix. It was not a long-term chronic condition for her. It
Mm-hmm.
was something more acute that was recovered for her. And she was still not having regular periods, but she was not having other issues that were bothering her. And in fact, there's a problem with that, because if she doesn't have regular periods, then her hormonal balances are not so good. What happens is the woman tends to not have so much emotional swings. And so for her, that's a stable state. But from her health standpoint, it's not healthy. So it was concerning to us, but the bigger concern was her OCD and her anger, rage, outbursts, hallucination, all these crazy things that were going on with the medicines. We're not pulling through. So homeopathy was challenging, and this is where we learned. That Maya's case, she's carrying multiple diseases, and she has different injuries. I would say the diseases are caused by the vaccine and medicines. They all interfere with the process of healing, because
Mm-hmm.
the healing process, the natural healing, is basically you triggering your own body to activate and fight the disease. It's
Yes.
not like the remedy you get from homeopathy is the fighter. No, it hits the right parts of your body at the
Mm-hmm.
right places, make your cells fight and fight the disease you have and
Mm-hmm.
get it out. But in human health, it is when you have an advanced pathology with many diseases, you have to think of it like the onion and the layers of onion. You have to peel a layer of onion at a time to get to the core. And that layer of onion is a disease at the surface level that gets out of your system, and then you're fighting the next layer of disease.
Mm-hmm.
So this process is ongoing in many regards. And of course, you live your life daily and you get exposed to different things, you eat different things, and you get harmed, and then you carry another level of problems, and it's a whole health process. But um, homeopathy for her was not breaking through just by taking the constitutional remedies in the method that Deborah was teaching, which is classical homeopathy. And that's the best way of homeopathy, actually. I must give uh, credit to the process. But what we were missing for Maya was the inability to detox her from the vaccines and the medicines that she's taking. Because
Mm-hmm.
these vaccines and medicines, like you say, have the poison of metals, aluminums, whatever that's retained in the gut to the brain and everything in between. And it doesn't go out, and it starts to haunt your body and do other crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get those toxins out of you, and it's not easy. It's very difficult to get detox from these chemicals in your body.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a way. And Deborah introduced this to Maya only in 2024. So it was only last year,
Mm-hmm.
in April. We started something called CEASE therapy. CEASE is actually the complete elimination of autism spectrum expression. That's what it stands for. And it was invented by Dr. Tinnis Smits. He wrote a book about this in 2010 only. So this is a discovery he made pretty recently, but he was somehow, I would, I don't want to give this term, but somehow eliminated in society. They eliminated him. Killeried, maybe a term, I don't know. But in any case, he's gone now. But what he did was publish his writings, his research of 300 autism children who were cured, reversed for their um, autism diagnosis with the CEASE therapy
Mm-hmm.
and with homeopathy addition. So CEASE therapy is using homeopathic versions of the actual vaccine or the actual medicine that you take.
Mm-hmm.
So the MMR, DTaP, hepatitis B, etc., vaccines can be prepared in the homeopathic version, a highly diluted one. In fact, I can make it. I took, just 5 grains of Lexapro, and I mixed it in 2 ounces of water, put a little dash of alcohol in it, and then I succuss it, which is bang it to a book 20 times. Then I pour out the water, dilute it, pour it out. So the very clean plastic case of bottled water has only a few drops of liquid left in
Mm-hmm.
the solution, in the bottle. Then I pour another 2 ounces of water, a little bit of, I don't add the alcohol, I'm just doing the water first. And then I close the top and I succuss it 20 times again. I repeat this process 12 times and I get the 12C potency.
Mm-hmm.
So with the 12C potency, I want to preserve it. I add the alcohol. And it's a really teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of alcohol. And that makes a remedy. Now, that's the first potency. And I have Maya take it. And I will explain about how she takes it. She doesn't even need to drink it. She needs to just hold it. And this is the proximity dosing. And there's science behind this. You don't need to really take medicine. You don't need to take remedies. You can just hold it or put it in your pocket or keep it in your room. This
Mm-hmm.
is what Deborah Olenev also discovered. This is her invention. I must give credit to her. She has a whole article about this at her website. And it works so well for Maya. And this is where the healing process just accelerated for Maya. That was the amazing part. So we're talking about all these years of suffering. So many and things getting worse and worse and worse for her. And in 2024, April, boom, things started to change. Her symptoms from Lexapro, Abilify, Geodon, Provera, and all the vaccines, MMR, DTaP, all of these started to pair out of her system.
Wow.
Just get out of her system. And she, while this is happening, sometimes she has toxic conditions appear. So we have to manage it with some acute remedies for her. But we started to help her detox, and she started to turn around. So the first part was to taper down from from the medicines. The tapering off of tapering off of medicines started in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But the psychiatrist suggested, since OCD hasn't improved, and we're saying these medicines don't do anything for her but make it worse.
Yeah.
They switched Lexapro and Abilify to just one medicine, and it was an antipsychotic, another kind of Abilify called Geodon. Geodon has a known severe side effect that they've lost lawsuits and compensated people on this, and this is that it triggers tardive dyskinesia. Tardive dyskinesia is essentially involuntary body movements. Twitching is the worst of tics and twitching. It's like you're going like that,
Controllable.
and you can't stop yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's involuntary.
It's terrible.
Maya had these symptoms emerge. She's
Yeah.
walking the street, and it suddenly happens to her. She
Right.
can't even walk across the street.
Wow.
That's how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor said, "Oh, we don't think that's involuntary. We don't think it's from Geodon." That's the kind of garbage you get from a psychiatrist.
It's always
It's ridiculous.
coincidence.
Yeah, funny. So, in my book, I say that TD, tardive dyskinesia, is still something she's suffering from. It's lingering in her.
Mm-hmm.
And my book was published in August. But in the last 2 weeks, her tardive dyskinesia is come down. Now I mentioned that it was maybe 25% improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Now what we've done for her, we found another medicine she took, which was an injection shot in her head because her migraines was hurting so much. The neurologist here gave her a bupivacaine injection shot to her head.
Mm-hmm.
Bupivacaine is used to help numb the nerves.
Yeah.
When you have a real bad nerve pain,
Mm-hmm.
you can use bupivacaine cream or you can even take a tablet, but
Mm-hmm.
they have this injection version too. Since her migraine was coming from the head, it was kind of more physical.
Mm-hmm.
She was given that to make the nerves numb, but the
Mm-hmm.
nerve, that nerve numb actually made things worse for her. She got all kinds of reactions.
Yeah.
And lately, what showed up was this tardive dyskinesia went to the
Oh,
worst state because the
God.
nerve was being agitated
Yeah. Yeah.
through the detox process. And so we gave her the bupivacaine CEASE, their remedy, and
Mm-hmm.
in 2 days, that all started to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
It disappeared from her. She's not
Wow.
having the TD problems as much as she had before. So
Uh-huh.
she's at like 80%. And this is just the last week. That's how
Amazing.
fast things
Yeah.
are happening for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already know what the medical establishment is going to call this therapy. They're going to call this voodoo science.
It's magic, but works.
It is magical.
Hey, it works. The heck with you guys. I want to help people maybe listening to this podcast know basically the lessons we've learned and what I can recommend or suggest from our experience. As I say that this formula I have will work for many people, many people. And the thing, and I don't want to see that they repeat this long drawn suffering that Maya went through with 32 years of her life lost.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see people recover faster, and there is a way. So the first thing is, if you are injured by vaccine or medicines like psychiatric medicines or any medicine, do the CEASE therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to hold it. You can take it in. But you need to meet a homeopath to guide you.
Mm-hmm.
They will administer it for you in a better way. And I can suggest, if people want to reach out, I can suggest as well. My site, supportmaya.org, talks about our book, as well as I'm going to keep updating people on what kind of help they can get. So
Mm-hmm.
please come to my site too, supportmaya.org.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that the CEASE therapy is very important, but CEASE therapy alone is just detoxing. Your problems, the illnesses you carry, still need to be worked on. And homeopathy works. Don't listen or read all this garbage online. Just follow a lot of things that board certified, accredited homeopaths can suggest to you. And
Mhm.
get to meet them. They are there for you. They are available because the medical industry, bastardize them, ostracize them. They are not. They are not busy with business. They really can get a lot more business. They're happy to help, and it's not really business for them. For them, is they have it from their heart. They want to help people.
Mhm.
And then the second, last thing I want to say is just about what Maya told me. And sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm so resonating with you right now. I mean, like from this horrific experience for like 30 something years and to this wonderful recovery, I totally get. I would be super emotional myself. I mean, like just I was just reading your book last night. I was in tears.
Yeah, so she for the first time she said, she woke up in the morning 2 days ago actually, and she was telling me, Daddy, I think I really know why I'm here now, and why I'm here with you. And she said, I'm here to help people know what not to do and what to do.
Wow, she's so amazing. Yeah, I see how I totally get why you're so emotional. Like I want to cry right now. Yeah, she has a
And
gift.
it's really not her mistakes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
Well, sorry
sharing.
for that. Thank you. Please read the book.
Yes, yes. I'll
Please.
put all of
It's
that
wonderful.
information in the
Easy
show
reading.
notes. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, and I look
Thank
forward to
you.
inviting you back, and we can talk about vaccines and policy making. This is an awesome time for us to push for good policy changes. So I would definitely love to invite you back, and we can talk more about that.